Okay. Hello all, I am Professor Kanchan Dabre from Universal College of Engineering, here to discuss on challenges in artificial intelligence. Before we learn what are the challenges in AI, let us learn what is artificial intelligence. Can anyone tell me? Yes. It is the ability of computer to do a task that are usually done by humans because they require human intelligence. So, it is a software which does tasks intelligently. Now, tell me who all are using AI today? Only big companies? No. We all are using AI in our daily life. I'll tell you how. Let me ask, how many of you use smartphone? Yes. We have GPS in it, which helps us to travel the world. Okay, so we all are using AI in our day to day life. Let us see some more examples. How many of you use social media apps like WhatsApp, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram? Yes. Have you observed that while you post a picture on social media, you tag people, but the machine automatically detects the person's face and tags that individual? How many of you use virtual assistants? You must have used Siri, who listens to us and performs the task in one tap. How many of you use search engines, Google? Every day we use? Yes. How many of you use recommendation systems like Amazon, Grammarly? Yes. That predicts what we are going to type. In short, they know us better than anyone. The best is autocorrect feature which understands what you are trying to say and present you the sentence in the best way possible. So, AI is playing an important role in our daily life. Its use is increasing and modernizing our own life. Obviously, with all this, it has some pros and cons associated. So these are some pros and cons of artificial intelligence. You know why AI has come into the picture? Because humans make mistake. Humans get tired. Humans get bored. They get inefficient over a period of time. That is why machines or artificial intelligence has come into the picture. Machines take decision based on previous data records. With algorithms, the chances of errors are reduced. This is an achievement as solving complex problems requires difficult calculations that can be done without mistakes. Different big companies, business organizations uses digital assistant to interact with their customers, which saves lot of time. The customer's demand is fulfilled and thus they get whatever they want without having to wait. They get the best service like online ticket booking, online shopping, online appointment booking. So you can imagine if humans are placed in all these places, what will happen? Will the things be quicker, efficient? No. Thus, we are going to look at all the pros and cons one by one. So let us look at the advantages of artificial intelligence. So the advantages are, as I said, the first advantage is AI doesn't get tired or wear out easily. Due to the programming of the robot, they can perform more laborious tasks with the extra hard work and with a greater responsibility. Also, they do not get wear out easily. Humans, what happens? Emotions come into the picture. With AI, there is no distraction at all. They don't have an emotional side, and therefore, mood doesn't hamper the performance, efficiency. Hence, they are more productive than human. Another advantage is it can do repetitive jobs efficiently. See, we know repetitive jobs are monotonous. same old task, a task that doesn't add any value in the nature. So these tasks can be carried out with the help of AI effectively. AI can also be used in medical field, medical applications. Like nowadays, you can see doctors are assessing the patients and their health risk with the help of artificial intelligence. Okay, with the AI system, we can understand what are the side effects of particular medicine. You must have seen nowadays medical professionals, radiologists, doctors are trained with artificial surgery simulators. Doctors can detect, monitor neurological disorders, and simulate the brain functions. They can also help in radiosurgery. If you have heard, you can operate tumor without damaging the surrounding tissues. And the surgery is all done using AI on the machine and it happens to the human. The next advantage of AI is right decision making. The complete absence of emotions from machine makes it more efficient as they're able to make right decisions in a short span of time. The fifth advantage of AI is working tireless, selfless, and without breaks. A machine doesn't require breaks like the way human requires. They are programmed for long hours and can continuously perform without getting bored or distracted. The machines do not get tired even if it has to work for consecutive hours. There are other advantages which are not mentioned, like implementing AI in the risky situations. Sometimes scientists uses the complex machines to study the ocean floor, where human survival is very difficult. This is a level of AI, it can reach to places where human cannot reach. Thus, it can help us to solve those difficult problems. Now, let us look at the difficulties or disadvantages of AI. So, along with all these advantages, there are certainly some disadvantages associated. What are those? The first is it requires huge cost. Implementing AI in the organization incurs huge cost as it is a complex machines. Apart from installation cost, the repair and the maintenance also requires huge cost. A software program needs frequent upgradation. Also, if there is a big breakdown, the cost of procurement is also high. Also, the recovery time is also long. The next disadvantage of artificial intelligence is it can bring unemployment. This is the riskiest and can have the severe effects as machines are going to do tasks that humans are supposed to do. So, machines are going to replace human. If in the future human being doesn't add any skill, then in no time machines can replace human. So the major issue of GDP being stagnant or not going to the expected ratio, the reason is unemployment because people do not possess the required skills that are in demand. So there is a huge gap between demand and supply. So what do we have to do is we need to have we need to remain updated and have these skill sets. Another disadvantage of AI is no improvement with experiences. We human learn and grow over experiences, whereas this artificial intelligence cannot be improved with the experience. They can perform the same function again and again if no different command is provided to them. Also, they cannot cope up with the dynamic environment. So, they are unable to alter the responses to the changing environment. The next disadvantage of AI is creativity, which is not possible with the AI. Humans are sensitive, intelligent, they are creative. They can generate ideas, they can think out of the box. We can see, hear, think, feel, but machines cannot. Machines cannot be creative. They do only what they were being taught or commanded. Though they can help us in designing and creating, but they cannot match the power of human brain. So there AI lacks. So these are the different disadvantages of artificial intelligence. Okay, now let us see what are the potential industries where AI can be used. For example, manufacturing, education, and so on. Now, when this AI is being used in these industries, there are different opportunities for us. What are the different opportunities that AI creates? The first opportunity is understanding the big data. Now, what is the data? How this data is being generated? Let me tell you example. Many of us are using smartwatches. Our heartbeat, blood pressure, how many hours we sleep, everything has been recorded, okay, which is nothing but a data, and this data has been collected every day. So many data, so many days data together makes a big data. You go to DMart, you buy product, you generate bill, you make transactions, that is also a data. This data is stored somewhere, so anyone can make out from the data what you like, what all you purchase, what time you visit, which day you are free. You do your mobile charging, you do recharge, and from there you can find out how much internet data you have used daily, what all website you browse. Even if you delete the history, everything is been recorded. Your face is also captured in CCTVs wherever you go. Your gesture, everything has been captured. These all are data. Your banking transactions, your medical history, your Aadhaar card data, all this data. So understanding this data, analyzing this data, taking out the relevant data, making conclusions from this data is a challenge and opportunity in this AI. Another challenge in opportunity in artificial intelligence is making smarter assistant. This was a big data smarter assistant, meaning nowadays we use Siri, a voice assistant. It is a smart, but it is not as smart as human. So there is a scope where you can make it more smarter. Next opportunity is understanding the emotions. AI does not include emotions. Understanding human emotions from the text that they type in Twitter, Facebook, you can understand how many people are depressed, who all are influencing people. And so you can make decisions based on that you can invent something, you can conclude something. So these are the different opportunities in artificial intelligence. Now with these opportunities, let us see what are the different challenges AI comes up with. So the different ethical challenges, the first one is biases, data biases. As we have a good data, we also have a bad data. These data can be biased toward gender, communal, racial, ethnic bias. Okay, this bad data can be used to make a vital decisions. And what will happen if this data is used for training and taking decision? The decision could go unrecognized. Decisions can go wrong. For example, suppose there is an image need data set. What is there in that data set is the faces of many people is been captured. If in this data set, if I store only the faces of people who are fair, and there are no faces which are dark in color, or if I don't capture the faces of small kids, okay, if I don't include all these categories, and if I use that data set to train algorithm to recognize facial features, then what will happen? That will not include the right balance of faces. The algorithm won't work for dark faces. So it will create built-in bias that can have a huge impact. This is unbiased data set. Then another challenge is manpower. AI is an emerging industry and technology. Not many people are skilled or expert in it. It has it is hard to find skilled experts in this domain. So, most of the time, IT companies use their budget to fund their trainees and interns to learn AI techniques. Next challenge is who will hold the control and morality of AI? For example, if you have designed a drone that could potentially fire a rocket and kill someone, so there need to be a human intervention, human in decision making process before the missile gets deployed. The problem is that AI have to make split second decisions. For example, in high frequency trading, over 90% of all financial trades are driven by algorithms. So there is no chance we can put a human in between to control these decisions. The same is true for autonomous cars also. You must have seen autonomous cars driven by a robot, automatically driven. So they need to react immediately if a child runs out on the road. So it's important that AI is in control of the situation. So this creates an interesting ethical challenge in AI. Next ethical challenge is privacy and data security. We need a lot of data to train AI algorithm. But where does this data coming from? How do we use that data is very important. This data is generated from millions of users around the world. For example, as I said, health record from the hospitals, online shopping records, booking, traveling, food ordering, transactions, bank transactions. So this private data need to be protected and it should not be used for training algorithm without somebody's consent. Yes or no? As we have seen a lot of news nowadays where companies are collecting data and selling it to other companies. Okay, you must be sometime receiving call. Do you want a loan? Do you want a insurance? Okay, how do they get to know our mobile phone? Our data is been used by somebody without our concern. So that is what the rules around what kind of data to be collected and what legislation might need to be put in place to protect users' private information is very essential. So if the data is used for bad purposes, what will happen? It can lead to cyber attacks, it can lead to blackmailing, it can lead to extortions. Let us see the another ethical challenge, that is power balance. Huge companies like Amazon, Facebook, Google, they are using AI to squash their competitors and become virtually unstoppable in the marketplace. President Putin from Russia has said once, whoever wins the race in AI will probably become the ruler of the world, meaning the one who is going to use AI the most is going to be a king of this entire world. So, how can we make sure the monopolies we are generating are distributing the wealth equally? And we should not have few countries racing ahead of the rest of the world and leaving other countries behind. Okay, so the balancing the power is a serious challenge in the world of AI. Another ethical challenge is ownership. Who is responsible for some of the things that AI is creating? If you see, using the AI, you can create fake art, you can create music, you can create deep fake videos, you can create text, you can create bots which are misleading. Who owns this material? What do we do with this kind of fake news if it spreads over the internet? Who will have this intellectual property right for it? Who should we potentially get paid for all this? This everything need to be considered. Another ethical challenge is environmental impact. Sometimes we don't think about the environmental impact of artificial intelligence. We assume that we are using data on a cloud computer to train the algorithm. And then that data is used to run the recommendation engines on our website. However, the computer centers that run the cloud infrastructures are power hungry. So what happens, while training these algorithms, we create 17 times more carbon emission, which is very, very harmful. So this environmental impact need to be addressed. Another ethical challenge is humanity. What human will think, what human will feel after AI is replacing them. So the final challenge is, how does AI make us feel as human? Artificial intelligence is becoming faster, is becoming powerful, is becoming efficient. Then they should not leave human feeling inferior. So these are the different ethical challenges. Now to conclude, let us see a video.
Here are 10 business challenges of bringing AI into the organization. As AI experts and data scientists, we often focus on the lower part of the technology stack. That includes just the data and the machine learning algorithms applied on the data. But actually rolling out a working machine learning system into the organization needs a lot more. And here we consider the upper regions of the stack. In this video, we'll look at 10 different challenges from a business manager's perspective. First is a business ecosystem. There are a lot of companies that have started to collect data about the customer. This means that any one of them could become competitors, and the ecosystem that's evolving is much more complex. The business itself might be moving its own IT systems to the cloud, and the cloud vendor might in the future become a competitor as well. There's a whole slew of technologies in addition to AI that business managers have to worry about. The convergence of these technologies can offer powerful business models, but at the same time, the competitor also has access to these technologies. Many businesses will have to redefine their goals and strategies to possibly change the fundamental business model. Companies like Uber came into existence because of a combination of mobile phones and the internet. The same could happen with AI as the underlying technology. People are worried about their jobs and how AI may impact them. This means that managers have to help people transition and enhance their roles. How does a manager ensure that machines and people can collaborate better? Successful transformation needs to have a good balance between AI knowledge and AI adoption. This is a difficult challenge for many organizations, and managers have to work hard to ensure that this is the case. The business needs a strong data strategy to ensure that various aspects like data quality, governance, and ownership are well defined, among other things. AI as a technology is very broad and can be applied to almost any area. So it is critical for the business to identify which capabilities should be prioritized first, since there are so many possible choices. Business managers will have to identify the future state, but that's not easy because the future state will keep changing depending on the changes in the larger ecosystem. So building AI into the future that is in flux is challenging, to say the least. There are many practical constraints to consider, such as leadership support, politics, resources available, skills available, etc. Finally, AI needs a good strategy and a framework. Two different companies could have two different strategies on their AI implementation, and it's critical to think about this before jumping in. The business leaders' work in bringing AI into the organization is complex. Such leaders have to work on their own leadership skills, considering the company values, doing it now with an incremental focus approach, and all the while creating an innovation culture, showing empathy, and building an organization that continuously learns. In some ways, It is easier to be a data scientist than a business leader responsible for such digital transformation. If you enjoyed watching this video, please consider. Here are 10.
So, in conclusion, I would like to say no matter how smart a machine becomes, it can never replicate a human. Machines are rational, but they are very inhuman as they don't possess any emotions or moral values. They don't know what is ethical, what is legal. Because of this, they don't have their own judgment making skills. They do what they are told to do. Therefore, the judgments of right and wrong is nil for them. If they encounter a situation that is unfamiliar to them, then they perform incorrectly or else break down in such situation. So, I don't think artificial intelligence will ever replace our jobs, but AI will augment our jobs. We need to remain updated with the how to use the smart machines so that we can manage the transition with dignity and respect for people and technology. So these are the some key ethical challenges we have to think very carefully when it comes to AI. Thank you all for watching this video. Thank you very much.